Welcome to 5 Phases Health. Your hosts are Peyton Young and Christina Barea. Over the next hour, you'll hear from experts in the field on how you can achieve sustainable good health.
Welcome to 5 Phases Health Radio, your guided journey towards personal transformation and sustainable good health. We simplify health, wellness, and nutritional information, eliminating the guesswork, helping you to achieve radiant health. I'm your co-host, Peyton.
And I'm Christina.
And we want to welcome you to this show.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. If you're a
returning listener?
Returning listener. We do appreciate it. If you're a first-time listener, we do appreciate it.
Welcome you to the show.
Yep. Check out our other episodes. Not sure, you might be listening to this from the webpage or on Spotify or one of those.
One of our streaming devices.
So there should be some.
There's some more.
More stuff. Interesting, cool things.
Yep.
Yes.
The goal of our show today is to talk about how to get you started on your wellness or fitness or weight management program. So 5 Phases is about aging gracefully and tools for longevity that are sustainable, daily habits that lead us to long-term sustainable good health. And one of the ways of getting started, of course, is establishing a goal. What exactly is it that we're trying to achieve? So many things.
Many things, yeah.
Right? It could be weight management. It could be a fitness goal. Like I want to be able to do, walk X number of miles. Or I want to be able to lift a certain amount of weights. Or I want to be able to do push-ups. Or I want to be able to do sit-ups. Or I want to be able to...
Pull-ups.
Yeah, fill in the blanks,
I'm the worst at pull-ups.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I want to be able to jog a mile.
Yep.
I want to fill in the blanks, right? So many things. But how do you know... How do you know which goal is the goal to aim for if you're just getting started? Like, in other words, how do you know how to start? Where do you aim for at the beginning? Well, fortunately, there's an acronym.
A really cool one.
That's very handy.
Yep. That
you can rely on to help you get started.
And it'll make you feel really smart.
It'll walk you... It'll make you feel smart. Wow, it's called SMART goals.
Because it's called SMART goals.
Cat's out of the bag. SMART goals. So what are SMART goals, Peyton?
Well, let's talk about what SMART actually stands for.
Sure.
Kind of give an overview.
Okay.
So SMART is, the S is specific. Mm-hmm. M, measurable. See, how do I spell this? Oh, yeah. A, achievable. R, relevant. T, time bound.
Okay.
So that's what.
So specific, measurable, acronym. Achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. So now we're going to jump into each one of these individually and talk about what exactly does that mean. And
also keep in mind, this is really a motivator. So using this little tool is a way to keep your motivation going. Sure. Because you'll be able to use it to help chart your exercise progress course over time, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And embedded in the SMART goals is the idea that it's something that you can actually accomplish, aka achievable. And so as you achieve certain goals, then you're motivated to continue to build on those goals and to find additional areas to work on. So
and that actually leads us into the first one.
Sure.
So the S in SMART, we said, was specific.
Right.
So we can look at this as you define and you're very clear on what you intend to do. So it doesn't need to be vague. It needs to be pretty specific. So if
an overall goal, like we said, I'm training for a triathlon, right? So my goal is to be fit for the triathlon. And so I need to, in this case, break it down into three areas. Right?
For sure.
Okay.
3 areas.
Or my goal is, I want to fit into a specific piece of article of clothing for a special event. That's a specific goal, which means that either I need to gain weight, or I need to lose weight, or I need to tone my body, shape it a little bit differently, or it can be I want to be able to go with my family to Disney World for 3 days and not get tired walking around.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a goal.
Actually, that might require a few weeks or maybe
training.
A couple of months of training depending on,
We have a goal, for example. We have a specific goal that we could use in this scenario. We're going on a trip soon.
Yes.
To Machu Picchu in Peru.
Yep.
And that requires climbing.
And it's at a very high altitude to begin with.
Right.
Yes.
So our specific goal could be in an adequate physical condition such that we can enjoy the time that we have on the
acclimate mountain. Once we get there as quickly as possible, and then be able to enjoy it.
100%.
Yep.
So specific, right? It's going to be variable based on the person, but it gives you what you're working towards, right? So this one is not how many repetitions. This is not how quickly I want to do something. This is not maybe 15 pounds. It's the context within which you're doing everything. And then you're going to refine that through the next steps, which are?
So the next one is M in SMART, and that's measurable. And basically, the goal is going to provide some criteria to follow, and we recommend at least 3 specific criteria. And it's basically going to define the extent to which the action needs to occur. So you basically are you've got to look at what you're trying to accomplish, and then got to kind of determine 3 ways to get there. And then what are those measurables for those 3 ways might happen to be, would be an example. Or maybe come up with a measurable and then have 3 different ways to be able to kind of calculate to make sure that you're getting there. Because there could be some activities that you would do, like a triathlon, that actually has 3 different activities that you have to do in one go. Mm-hmm. So you need to come up with a way to measure your ability to do that within a time frame, basically.
Yeah. And in this particular area, to build on that, you're looking at how many repetitions you're doing of something, or if it's a distance, how much distance you're doing. And then you're looking at a cadence, which is how many times per week am I doing that? So, let's just go through mountain climbing, right? So we're going to go hike a mountain.
We're not mountain climbing. We're hiking.
I know. Like I said, I corrected. I said hiking. So we're going to we're going to walk up a mountain. So therefore, we need to be able to walk a certain distance without getting winded and the muscles tired and so on. And we need to be able to do it over a couple of days, right? So our goal might be, I want to exert myself 3 days a week doing an uphill climb. Doesn't have to be a mountain, but I need to put my body under an uphill climb condition. Or
a load on the legs.
Right?
Of some kind.
And so I can build a good foundation to be able to do that. And then I need to be able to do, I said for how much time, how many days a week, and what am I doing, right? So that's where your measurable comes in. If it's, I want to be able to do push-ups, then you're going to start with 3 push-ups, 2 times a day, 3 days a week, right? So you have measurable.
And then attempt to maybe do a certain number of repetitions. And then once you get there, you can add in more or something along those lines.
Yeah. And so if you're not sure if that reaches your overall goal, then you work with somebody who is like a coach, a fitness coach or a health coach. Somebody might be able to give you guidance on how to plan and get there if it's a long period of time. But we start with things that are in our next acronym, Achievable. So we have to start with what's actually achievable, right?
Yeah.
If we can't currently walk uphill without getting tired, then it's unreasonable for us to think that we can hike up a mountain a long distance without getting tired. So we have to find something.
Even walk flat for more, if you can't walk for more than about 10 or 15 minutes before you get winded, then being at that altitude is not going to work.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of determine exactly some training comparables to get you to those 2 to 3 goals that you would set for yourself.
100%.
Make it achievable.
100%. And then, of course, once it's achievable, it's now specific. We've got the context and the goal, and it's measurable and achievable, something we can actually do because we're going to start with that foundation and then build on it. And then, of course, the next acronym or the next letter in the acronym is relevant. Relevant means that what we're doing actually pertains to the specific goal.
The goal that you're trying to achieve. Yeah.
Now, it might seem silly, right? If we're trying to do push-ups, what does it mean? Why would we be putting walking as a goal. Well, there's kind of a relationship there, but if the idea is I need to build muscle mass, then we need to actually do an exercise that helps to build muscle mass, which is weightlifting of some sort, right? But the muscles under load, to use the word you used earlier. So it has to be pertinent to the actual goal itself. So it seems almost intuitive, but there are instances where if we're not sure, if we don't have the understanding of the body mechanics and physiology, we might be doing something thinking that it's going to lead to a certain goal. However, we find out that, that doesn't actually contribute to the goal that I'm trying to achieve. So again, if there's a little bit of confusion of how do I know, there's some great tools out on the internet, and you can always, again, engage with a health coach or a fitness coach, a trainer who can help you if you're fuzzy in that area. And then,
and it can get a little. It depends on how complex. Mm-hmm. If you're just wanting to be able to you'd love to just be able to walk or run a mile, as an example. That's pretty. It's pretty straightforward, basically. So now you just need to walk a little further, a little longer than a mile to get yourself comfortable going a mile, as an example. And then you may, if you want to run that mile, you may walk with interspersed times of running short distances within that mile, or in this case, might go a little further, so that you start to narrow that little, it from being just a walk to running. You start to narrow them and bring them both together, basically, until you are running that mile, as an example.
Yep. Yep. As you were mentioning that, I also thought about rehabilitation. So there might be not just an actual, 0.0 forward training type thing, but there might be kind of a work backwards from 0.0 in the sense that there's some part of the body that needs to catch up to the rest of the body in order to support that overall number one specific goal.
Mobility, when you just had maybe an ACL injury, and so it's been repaired.
Sure.
So now you've got to not only work the knee, but then there'll be some hip flexor things that you'll do. You'll work the hamstring, on all different sides, and then the measure might be that, as an example, could be that you can within 2 or 3 weeks you're able to get around with only one crutch, as an example, instead of having to have both. Or then the next goal, which would definitely be a relevant goal, would be to walk without any assistance devices or any of that kind of thing.
Right.
So that would totally be some achievable things in that realm, which is really cool.
100%. Yeah. So, we're the people we work with and the people who we help are typically a little bit later in life, right? And have some sort of challenge going on. And so this one is particularly interesting. The concept of rehabilitation inside of a SMART goal, especially post-injury, post-surgery type things. Yep. So many delicate areas of the body that need to go through the healing process, right? And each one of them has their own pace. They have their own time for healing, and they have their own impact on the overall physiology and the functioning of the body. So we have to give everything its own space and time to go through its process so that it can, in this case, catch up with everything else. And so we said time here, so we'll go to the last letter in the acronym, Peyton.
Which is time bound, which is time relevant.
Right. So we got to put a timestamp on it.
Which I kind of talked about just a few minutes ago, started adding in some, what does this look like? And that's basically what we're looking at is defined time frame. And this has some multiple benefits because it puts a sense of urgency on what you're doing so that you do these things on a regular basis to achieve those goals. It also is a measure, if at that end of that time frame that you set, how close within those, I call them sub goals, but you got your main goal and then you've got some measurables. You're very specific in what you're doing. It's achievable, it's relevant. So what we're looking at is, did you meet that success within that time frame? And probably most people look for around 90% close to what you're intended to do within that time frame is kind of how to look at it. So At least that's the way I do it. If you get 100%, then time to move on to redo your goal or add to it or maintain.
Yeah, and in this one, right, we want to have something that's in the near future to us for a goal or a timestamp on it. If it's too far out in the future, we say, I would like to be able to walk a mile at some point in my life. Well, how do you attach to that? A lot of us are motivated by the challenge, right? And so the idea is to give us something that we can work towards, something that's achievable, that's the A, and something that keeps us motivated. That's not in there, but I'm going to put that in there anyway. So it's a double M SMART. It's the motivated SMART goal.
Well, time is a motivator because we only have a finite amount of it. Sure. So all the way around, daily, yearly, lifespan, that kind of thing. So it can create it can be a huge push to get to where you want to be.
Don't put off for tomorrow what you can accomplish today.
Exactly. So I think we're getting close to the end of this segment.
Stay tuned for the next one, which is really fun. Essence of an exercise session.
Yes. All right. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome back to 5 Phases Health with Peyton Young and Christina Barea.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Glad you're here.
Glad you're here, and glad you've stayed with us. And if you just tuned in, we're fixing to talk a little bit about what the essence of an exercise session actually looks like, the components. But our previous segment, which I highly recommend, if you didn't catch that portion, go back and listen to it. Actually, go back and listen to it a couple of times. There's really good information in there. And it was using a thing called SMART, an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And these are ways of setting goals and motivating you to succeed in whatever that goal happens to be. So that's what the previous segment was about. And so we'll get started with the essence of an exercise session.
Right. So we're on our yoga mat. Or in the gym.
Yeah. Or standing out in the yard by the curb, getting ready to do something. Outdoors, exercise, sure, running, walking, that kind of thing.
We're at square zero.
Very first thing. So what I'm going to do is, at the start, I'm going to set or review my intention. What was my goal? What did I set for today? What did that look like? What is it that I need to achieve that I took this time out of my busy day or evening or early morning to do? Mm-hmm. What about you?
Yep. So I'm going back to my SMART goals. I'm going to my first one, which is my specific goal, right? My overall context of everything. What am I working towards? And then I'm going to say, how does today, this practice right here, right now, how does that fit in with my overall goal? Because then I have a relationship with it, right? I want to make it mine. I want to make it personal. I want it to speak to me. I want it to motivate me. I want it to mean something to me. Otherwise, I'm just going through the doldrums of, oh gosh, I have to do this exercise and I don't really want to, and I'm unmotivated, right? But if I remember what I'm working towards, and then I can feel like I'm connected to it, and I can say, okay, I know this is probably going to be difficult and challenging, and it's going to have to exert myself, but I'm motivated to do it because I want to reach this particular goal that I've established that is important to me.
It's great. So you've basically set the foundation for the whole session, and you made it yours, which is, you can't get any more self-care than that, really, to be quite honest.
Yeah. That's
a big step, actually, for a lot of people, especially, I know sometimes exercise, for me, sometimes at times, it just seems like it's work. And it's something that I would have to do to achieve something. But the goal, I think, and I always try, is that overall, you're always going to be looking to have better health and wellness.
Sure.
So,
and we say health is wealth, right? Health is everything. If you don't have your health, you don't have everything else that you want to accomplish in your life. So it's really important to pay attention to it. Now, everybody's health goals are going to be different. Some of us want to be athletes, but not everybody wants to be an athlete. Our goal here is just to motivate and guide folks who just want to extend their life, maybe recover from an injury,
quality of life,
maybe recover some of that youthfulness, energy, and spark that we remember from years ago and want to bring that into today. And it can be something a little in between, right? It can be somebody who's really trying to get back into health and lose some weight. Maybe they want to condition the muscles and build some muscle mass and things. There's so many reasons, right? The important thing is that we've got to be connected. And the reason we're doing all of this is to be able to support our body and our overall life goals, whatever those might be. So we talk to folks, right, and they want to be around for their grandchildren. That's a admirable goal and very important, right? As you go to the second stage or third stage of life, however you view it, we start to realize, time is so precious, and the time that I have left is so meaningful to me. I want to be able to enjoy as much of it as I possibly can, and we need to have our health in order to support us to do that.
So, and then my next step, since you had asked me first on what I do, is to, once I have my goal and the intention and I've set it, and I know what the activity I'm fixing to do, what that looks like, or I have my notes with me, or maybe it's on my phone or tablet or something like that, so I know I'm ready to go. I take a moment, take a big deep breath, relax, and get ready to start. Mm-hmm. And now I'm ready. I'm ready to then do the next stage, which is warm-ups.
Oh, I love warm-ups.
Warming the body up.
I love warm-ups.
Yeah.
You know why?
Put some heat in the body.
Because warm-ups don't usually have like this huge goal inside of them. It's not like I'm, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Warm-ups can be fun. You can have fun in a warm-up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're stretching. Oh, we're
There's no stress here. Yeah,
exactly.
right. This is
right.
just,
We're not performing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're warming up.
It's important. It's an important thing.
It is
because
very
it sets
important.
the stage to reduce injury and be able to utilize your body in the best possible way.
Well, you got to get the fluids moving. You've got to get your articulations lubricated with synovial fluid. You got to get the blood moving. You got to get the muscles warmed up so you don't tear your muscles. Working out, you've got
stretch the muscles, get the range of motion back in there.
Yes.
Start to
release tension.
Some things you do to warm up can start to link the kinetic chains in the body.
Oh,
so you can go across joints, go from the hips to the shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Remember where your shoulders are.
Yeah, you start to
create
remember.
Consciousness.
Feel your body. Feel, I'm present. I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, there's my elbow. I hadn't talked to my elbow in some time.
And the elbow might be talking back to you that it's got a little bit of it's tight, it needs to move a little bit. Yeah.
Warm-ups are so important. There's so many areas that we don't work out throughout the day. Like especially if a lot of us are sedentary, we're either in the car driving or sitting at a desk doing a job or otherwise, just sitting. So the hips, they need a lot of movement. They were built for movement.
For movement, yeah.
And we don't move the hips as much. So warm-ups is a great way to get things moving around and ready for your next step.
One thing to keep in mind, I always like you might start out most of your whatever warm-ups that you happen to be doing, they should be pretty much joint and cross joint type movements. So the idea here is since there's no pressure, there's no real thing to, no strictness to form or there's no, what do you call it? You don't have to put a super effort into it, so you're not going to be out of breath, that kind of thing. However, the idea is to each movement that you do, you're going to do it for some repetitions, is to really go into the movement. And what I mean by that is the movement could be fairly shallow. So we could use circling the wrist as a example. So you're just turning the wrist inside or outside, probably would do both. But right in the very beginning, your muscles are cold, the joint is cold. It's not been doing much of anything, probably, especially if it's early morning. So once you start that rotational movement of that joint or any joint, you want to start fairly shallow. Just get the movement connected up so that you can make a circle. Right at first, it might be, I have to think about it to make the circle. And then as you're doing circles, it becomes a bit easier. But what you'll notice is, if you really connect with it, is that all of a sudden you can make the circle bigger, and you'll feel that joint release. You'll feel the forearm muscles become more relaxed. And you can make that, you can get deeper into that stretch or the circle that the stretch is actually doing. And so what you get then is you get the muscles firing correctly to allow the proper movement to happen, and they're firing fully. So they know exactly what their range of motion is and what needs to happen. So you get this kind of like an activity stretch response. So one side is pulling, contracting, while the other side has to completely release and let go for you to do that for circling toward the inside. And then as you come around to the outside forearm contracts and the inside forearm releases. So now you're telling the muscles it's okay to relax, and then it's okay to contract here. Mm-hmm. So they kind of do some reprogramming of the electrical system in the body, neuromuscular.
Yeah, so breaking up stagnation, breaking up areas where things are tight or where the tendons have loss of elasticity. Mm-hmm. So warming up is important. And then we move into, so we're here, we're at the beginning, we've established our goal, we're warming up, and then what are we doing?
Well, it all depends on what our goal is and what that activity is, but I guess the next section would be the conditioning part.
So the actual training.
The training that you're doing for whatever specific goal that you have in mind at this point.
Yeah, right. And those are all variables. So at this point, you take your SMART goal, which was specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, and you put that all into this bucket, right? So we put ourselves where we're going to do our routine. We've put our mindset in place, recalled why we're doing all of this, pump ourselves up with motivation, get our body warmed up, ready to go, and now we can start our actual practice of training and conditioning of the body, whatever area it is that we're working on. So now we're in the bulk of it.
In this conditioning part could be it could be lightly vigorous type of exercise to moderately vigorous or hard to very vigorous, very hard. So you could have 3 kind of perceived levels of exertion basically in what we're doing. So, and this kind of is very broad because it could apply to many different things. Just as an aside, light exertion would be, you can still talk, you can move around, your breathing has increased, but it's not that much. Heart rate has come up a little bit. So for some basically fit people, this might be just walking a couple of miles as an example. Or if you're on a treadmill or a bike or something along those lines, you're just kind of moving along. Heart rate's just up a little bit, but you can have a nice conversation. Moderately hard or moderately intense activity then is, you can still have a conversation, but you're focusing on breath. You might even feel your heartbeat. Everything is increased in order to adapt and basically rise up to the level of the exertion that you're requiring the body or load that you've put on the body. And then very vigorous activity, it would be activity that you can't have a conversation. You might be able to say a few words like ow, or this is hard, this is hard. As an example, heart rate is really up and you're breathing very, very heavily. So think, in this case, most people can understand this one if you sprint someplace. So if you sprint all out, after those first 5 seconds or so, you're really breathing very, very heavily and really have a lot of effort involved in it. So perceived exertion is a great scale. There's other variables there, but those 3 are really good to kind of moderate yourself so that you can have a target if you don't have all the fancy things like a smartwatch or stuff like that to help you along. So I guess the next section that we will talk about is what do you do after you've done your main exercise activity, the main conditioning that you're working on, and that's cool down, which is just as important, but not as stressful or whatnot as just like the warm up. So it's not as stressful as your main conditioning, but it is just as vital, because this is where you cement in all that work that you have been doing, so that the body remembers it later. The conditioning that you're doing, the range of motion through the joints, the linking of the kinetic chains of the body to do some sort of a thing like throw a ball or run or something along those lines. So some things that you could do for the cool down could be similar to the warm up that you chose. You can always do that. That, you know, if you're designing an exercise program, you know, if you're short on time, you can always do the same thing you did for a warm up, because they're somewhat similar. But really what we want to do is we want to do some kind of post large muscle group stretching exercises. Mm-hmm. Those are the best, because the body is completely warm, and you might have done maybe some heavy working out or weightlifting or something like that, and you want to keep that range of motion going. So right here's where we help to program the body to maintain a good range of motion, good connectivity through the neuromuscular systems of the body, or what I call kinetic chains. Yeah,
that's great. I love what you said, and the importance of stretching after working out helps with blood circulation, as well as getting lymph move through, helps the cells exchange some of those waste and energy and waste that the exchange has to go through. So it gives everything a chance to, what you really don't want to
cool down.
Cool down, yeah, right. You want to bring your heart rate down. If your heart rate got accelerated, you're working in a high intensity zone, then you want to be able to bring it back down slowly, so that, you know, you have a chance to stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get back into homeostasis. So stretching is a great way to do that. What's not good, of course, is like running and then just stopping and then saying, okay, well, I'm done now. I'm going to go sit down. No, let's take some time to work through.
Maybe walk a little bit.
Think of it lunges, like a curve rather than a cliff, right? So this has been some really great information. I appreciate listening to you talk about your experience in exercise physiology. So thanks for joining in to this point, and we hope you return for our last segment. We'll connect with you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Be right back. And welcome back.
Welcome back.
We're here, Five Phases Health Radio. If you've been listening up to this point, you're awesome.
We appreciate you.
If you're just joining in,
welcome.
We talked about SMART goals in our first segment. Second segment was basically the pieces that make up an exercise routine that you would be performing daily, mm-hmm. from your goals and the things, the intention that you set. And now we're going to talk about basically after action report, or after
debrief.
Yeah, the after exercise report, the documentation, the sure. debrief. Because in reality, being able to document, take notes, and if you do have some of the neat gadgets, devices that are out there that record things like heart rate, and has a GPS built in, so you can actually see how far you went in those, and hill profiles, steps, all that information is really beneficial for you for tracking. Plus, if you do have some of the cooler apps, it'll give you, after a certain period of time, it'll give you a idea about where you're headed.
So it'll map your trends. It'll say you're on trend, or you're on target to hit your goal, or you need to catch up here, or you see graphs and so on, feedback. But if you don't have an electronic device to give you that information, then you can do a self-assessment through a journal, right? And through the journaling, you can self-evaluate 1 through 10. Did I feel like I Did I accomplish everything that was on my goal? How did I feel after I did it? Did I feel good? Did I feel really extra tired today?
Or how did I feel before and after?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can track all of that in a exercise journal. And there's some great journals out there in the marketplace. You just do a search on your browser. You'll find something that you can use. If not, just take a piece of paper and write it down. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Nope.
And once you get started with it, trust me, once you get started with it, you just kind of get hooked into the idea of, and then how about that? And then looking into the past and, wow, look how far I've come. It's so easy for us to not realize the progress we've made on something if we don't actually record it somewhere.
You can go back and do an audit, basically.
You can go back and look. Yeah. And it's really helpful to have that information to review.
So one of the main things that you can use this for is to determine when you should increase something or add here, or you might have been doing some activity for a period of time where you hit a little plateau, you did more emphasis on what it was on that activity and it got better. But then eventually for maybe the last couple of weeks or so, it's plateaued. You don't seem to be getting better at it. The goal is not in sight. So for me, one of the best thing for this journaling, the recording your activities, is you can go back and look and you'll be able to know when you've got to change it up and you've got to make significant changes in the exercise in order to continue to get closer to your goal. Or if you have sub goals, small little road markers, that you have to meet, you'll be able to do that. Because at some point in time, without logging anything, you will never know if your body has adapted enough to where you have to make a drastic change in the exercise prescription that you're working with.
Sure. Either the number of repetitions, the length, or the load that you're exerting under. Also, through recording and keeping track of your progress on something, you might uncover a pattern that was previously unaware of. You may uncover a connection of some sort. Some of the most common ones that people uncover are the days that I have alcohol, like a beer or a glass of wine. The day after, it's a little bit harder for me to accomplish my goal. Or days where I was under high stress, and then those days it's harder for me to do as many repetitions or something. So there's an impact of the stress cortisol hormone on ability to perform. Or it may be I didn't sleep enough last night, and so I'm feeling a little bit foggy and less connected. So there's food, right?
Didn't eat enough.
Physiological things, whatnot. The days shorter, the days longer. The temperature went up, the temperature went down. It rained.
I had an ache or a pain that developed.
Right.
All that kind of information is important to know, so that you can go back and be able to modify.
Yep. I think that the overall overarching advantage of writing things down or recording them somewhere, either with your tracking device, whatever, is that it takes the stress away from you having to remember. Mm-hmm. We are so overloaded with information these days that to ask our brain, I need you to hold on to this data metric for a year.
Or how about a couple days?
Right?
Yeah, for me.
I need you to remember that on August 1st of 2022, I weighed 147 pounds. And then on August 1st of 2023, I A, gained 5 pounds, B, lost 5 pounds, or, I'm still the same. Why not just put it somewhere and then your brain can relax? Most stress starts in our brain. And if we can get our brain to relax, don't ask your brain to remember everything, to do everything, to solve for everything, to plan for everything, to do everything. Then your body will be like, wow, me and the brain, we get along really well. We can work together, right? But we Yeah. So anyway, I think the wisdom is that of being able to record and put things down somewhere else.
So really what we're looking at here is your primary mode of a feedback loop is really what we're doing here. And so if you are writing down, logging, journaling, whatever you want to call it, everybody calls it something a little bit different. There's probably there's some specific things you definitely want in there. And so the first things are going to be specific to the exercises that you're performing. And usually what I do is I divide it up into what the goal is, and then have next to it what I actually was able to accomplish. So, and generally at some point in your exercise, there's a point where you could take a pause or a breather. It's a recovery section, or if it's a run or a walk, at the very end, you would record these things down. But you want the things that are specific to that. So if it's lifting weights, it's how many repetitions did I do? How much weight was it? Was I able to accomplish all
the order
of course,
even
it'd be
the order.
And then how long of a recovery did I have between sets, as an example. If it's going out and running, it's just tracking very basic. When I started, the time I started, the length of time that I did the activity. And if you know mileage, you could put it in there if you wanted to. If you have a route that the mileage. But additional things that you can put in there have to do with basically, okay, how did I feel? How did I feel before and after? Was I in good spirits? Did my body feel good? Did I feel like I was ready to do this activity? How did I feel afterwards? As an example, did I feel more energy? Was I physically tired but felt mentally good? As an example. Another one might be adding in there, you could really get into the idea that while I was doing the exercise, was I focused on the exercise that I was doing, or was I mentally scattered? Those kind of things. And the reason why I like to add in those two other pieces to the basic, what did I accomplish in the exercise, is it gives you a roadmap to know when you're too tired. When you're exercising too much and you don't have enough recovery, so you're getting in a fatigued state, and then is this mentally stimulating enough, or is it getting to the point where it doesn't motivate me, the things that I'm doing, so I might have to actually change the activity to a different exercise to accomplish the same goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of information that we gather by doing exercise and then doing the evaluation at the tail end of it. Another thing I like to encourage at the end of a routine is just paying attention to what changed from the beginning of the time you started doing it to the end of it. What was we did that evaluation at the beginning. We stood there at square zero and we said, okay, this is where I'm at today. This is where I did my internal scan, my mental, emotional, physical, everything scan. And then at the end of your workout, you want to do the exact same thing. Do that scan. One of the implicit in there is the idea that everything is connected. And we tend to forget that. Most of us operate day to day just blissfully unaware of the amount of work that our hands and our feet and our organs go through on a daily basis to keep us functional.
Yep.
We don't think about it. It just happens. And so
probably don't drink enough water.
Right, well, that's for sure. And then we take it for granted. So we don't think about it. We take it for granted, and it becomes abundantly obvious to us how important it is when it stops to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea in preventative medicine is, let's pay attention ahead of time so we get those early warning signals about what might need attention before it actually becomes a problem. So at the end of your workout, you do this scan and you do the stretching, and you'll be able to notice, oh, that place that was really tight just really released and opened up. So I don't have an injury here. I can work through it. I have an expectation that this is something that will be easy to remediate. Or you have feedback that's like, wow, I really need to spend some time focusing. Like, I have zero flexibility. Like, I can't even touch my toes. That's something that we need to work on, especially as we age, because the tendons become hardened and they become more brittle and things start to break. So stretching really is important for longevity. So, if we can't touch our toes, then, and it's because of a lack of flexibility, then that's an important feedback loop to pay attention to, right? Obviously, the ones that most people will focus on first is heart rate, cardiovascular, things like that, and so on. But stretching is equally as important. And the bottom line of all of this is certainly, again, taking the time to stretch and figure out what changed, what didn't change, what had very good progression trending, what didn't progress and trend positively and needs more attention.
Because really what you're doing, what I hear you say is we want better health and wellness to enjoy life. But if what we're doing is causing injury because we don't realize it right away.
Sure.
And we're not doing that mental and physical, emotional scan before and after, then we won't know that we're actually injuring ourselves, and we have to modify the things that we're doing.
Yep.
Or determine that maybe our gait is off.
Yeah.
Or our
balance.
Shoes are bad.
What about balance? Balance is super important, right? Yep. Number one thing that, well, maybe not number one, but very common to think about in our aging population is the ability to have balance. So many injuries happen because people trip, they fall over, they don't have balance, they don't have the quick muscle reflex to be able to catch themselves before they fall, or similar. So this is a way to understand, do I need to spend more time? Do I need to pay attention to these areas? Which, it's like a simple test, right? Can you stand on one foot? How long can you stand?
With your eyes open.
With your eyes
preferably open. With something that you can reach out and get your balance with.
And if that's easy, then close your eyes. Can you?
That's very difficult.
Right? Maybe still have something next to you just in case you lose your balance. But these are tests that we can do to see where am I today versus where I was in the past, and what is that? Is that in alignment with my future goal? What do I need to work on, and what do I need to change, right? So just so important to pay attention to these things. Yes.
I've been guilty of not logging things in my time frame. And when you have gaps in things, it's hard to get an overall picture. So if you, as part of that, this health and wellness journey that everybody is on, take the time to log, to journal. At the very end, set one page for each time that you do some sort of exercise activity, health and wellness activity, and also put your nutrition. What did you have to eat that day? We didn't even talk about that, but
we have a whole nother episode,
and that's a whole nother episode on that one. But documenting your nutrition. But in the end, have a little section where you basically talk about how do you feel body-wise, how do you feel spirit-wise, like how is your spirit? Are you motivated? Are you are you down, or are you frustrated, angry, whatever it happens to be? Write that in there, and then how were you able to focus and be a part of that health and wellness exercise that you were doing? And was it painful or was it not painful? Because unfortunately, sometimes getting into a stage of good body health and wellness can have some pain associated with it.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to know that it was difficult, it was hard, my muscles ached, that kind of thing. Well, I want to say thank you for joining us. And please reach out if you have any questions on Facebook or the contacts page on our website. And
love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you, and have a great rest of your day.
Till next time.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of 5 Phases Health. We hope we've given you some tips to improve your health habits. Until we talk again, have a beautiful week.